So finally out of the hotel. Slept terrible last night, probably just because new place, lots on my mind. First stop on a multi-leg trip. Got proper coffee. The breakfast buffet at the hotel was terrible, so I'll probably have to pick up some food later. So I'm in Charleston. I'm gonna try and visit Fort Sumter. It is an island, so it might require a boat thing. It's probably also going to cost money, because in the United States, many tourist attractions, whether they're federally owned or state owned, cost money. And that's one of the reasons why their upkeep is so good, is because they pay people to make sure that people aren't walking where they're not supposed to, and they use the money for restoration and things like that. But yeah, Fort Sumter, gonna try and go there. Basically, it was the start location of the American Civil War, where the South fired on a federal installation, starting the official start of the Civil War. So a lot of history here on that. I'm gonna drink this coffee. It's nice out today, sun's out, beautiful weather in Charleston, South Carolina. Probably about 54, 60 degrees right now, but gonna get my caffeine going here and then drive down to Battery Park and see if I can get to Fort Sumter. Okay, so made it to Sullivans Island, which is on the far side of Charleston proper. It's basically a floodplains, which has been built up for housing, because it's really pretty actually. And you can see here, this is the floodplains basically between Sullivans Island and Charleston downtown proper. It's super interesting because it's designed to protect against natural disasters by nature. It's really there so that when the floodwaters come from a hurricane or too much rain, there's this floodplains to absorb that and protect the mainland. Pretty cool stuff. We're here at the first fort, and there's something cool over here. Looks like a grave. Just check this out. There's a flag here. Oh, it's a general. Major General William Moultrie. Clearly a Moultrie. If you know how to pronounce that, leave a comment. But this is the fort that I'm at actually. And it says here, he died in 1805. He was the commander of the 2nd South Carolina Regiment during the Battle of Sullivans Island in 1776. When he was offered inducements by Lord Charles to desert the American cause, the general replied, "You have forgot to tell me how I am to get rid of the feelings of an injured, honest heart." So this is actually a Revolutionary War general who apparently this fort was named after, and he's actually buried here. So pretty amazing actually. This is 1776 is the American Revolution, not the American Civil War. So that's pretty wild. So this guy was defending Sullivans Island against the British, and he got a fort named after him. So lots of history in Charleston. So this isn't even Fort Sumter. We'll have to check and see if we can get to Fort Sumter. So let's take a walk here along this beautiful path, coffee in hand, and see some history of America. So turns out that you can actually walk through a small museum as well. and it is a $10 charge per what I expected to see stuff, which I paid. Masks are required inside, which again, to be expected. The weird thing about touring this stuff in the United States now, and this happened in the summer when I went to a baseball game in Maryland as well, is that cash is not taken. Which is weird, because anywhere else you go in the world, it's usually cash is preferred, and in the United States now everything's moving towards cashless. So let's just go and take a walk here through the museum, check out some of the sites, because there's some pretty cool stuff in here. But I looked up Fort Moultrie, I think is how you pronounce it. And interesting history, it was built during the Revolutionary War, but actually was used all the way up until World War II, which is wild to think about. And basically with the advent of nuclear weapons, the federal government said, well, we don't need a land fort when you can push a button and kill us in DC. So a lot of these forts became abandoned because invading via ocean and land armies became obsolete in the age of intercontinental ballistic missiles. All right, let's go inside the museum. I'm worried it might be a little dark in here, actually. Nah, looks okay. So I kind of went through this backwards, I feel like. I started with World War II and I'm heading towards the Revolutionary War. Check out this cool cannon now. Man, look at that. Imagine getting hit by that thing. Wouldn't be much left. Used for taking out boats. Look at the size of that thing. Here's a map. Here we go. So basically, we've got Charleston proper up here, and Fort Sumter is this little island. And the fort I'm at is this guy here on Sullivans Island. So during the Civil War, they abandoned this fort to go to Fort Sumter because an island is harder to invade. Makes sense. Sullivans Island, probably named after a family. The Sullivan family, if I had to take a guess. Imagine owning an entire island. I'm sure that family is doing very well in this day and age. They must be living in California somewhere now. Who knows? All right, let's go check out the fort. Let's go into the fort. So you can see in the US, very common for strict rules at historical monuments, which is why everything is usually in pretty good shape. It's back here. Probably a store where they kept supplies of some sort. If this was the entrance. So the tour actually takes you through the years from the Revolutionary War all the way up to World War II, which is when this was decommissioned. Oh, cool. This is where they kept the gunpowder. Makes sense. It's more towards the back of the fort. Towards the center. So this was filled with the primary supply of gunpowder. And there's an exit way. Hopefully this echo is not too bad. It's pretty wild. You can imagine dudes running in and out of here, getting barrels of gunpowder. This room, let's see, what was this room for? Service magazine held the ready ammunition for nearby guns. So it wasn't the primary store for gunpowder and weapons, it was a smaller one for easier access. So they had the primary store and then a bunch of smaller ones littered throughout the fort. The sign says keep off the hills. I'm kind of curious. I want to see what's up there. So maybe I can go up these stairs, check it out. Try to explore this whole fort though. Look at this place. Man, just passageways inside of passageways. This is very short too, so a tall person is not gonna, this was not made for the modern man. People were shorter back then. So I'm like 4'9", and I mean, I can almost touch this, so funny. Clearly people have taken these bricks over the years as souvenirs. I did that in Rome when I was in high school. Look at this. There used to be a gate here. How cool is that? This would have been an iron gate to basically prevent people from entering the inside of the fort. So you would close this iron gate and retreat back to the safety of the fort. Let's see what this pathway goes to. This is an interesting room, but no words on what it's for. The other thing you got to remember is these lights are all modern. Like these passageways would have been lit with torches or possibly mirrors. You could reflect light from outside to inside. So this was an add-on to the fort for World War II. You can see it's a little bit more modern. Doors. Dang, that's crazy. I wonder what's behind there. So this portion of the fort was built during World War II. Oh man, it would be cool to go up there. It's too bad. This would have been a signal tower. Yep, signal tower. So you got all your flags here. I'm not a Navy vet, so I don't know what these signal flags mean. Somebody in the comments can leave a comment. But you can see that this would be a pretty good observation spot. This would be used to signal boats out in the water. And there's your hoists for the signal flags in case the light didn't work. Look, it's made by General Electric. General Electric is an old American company. They've been around for a while. Sumter should be over there. You know if that island right there is Fort Sumter? That is Fort Sumter? Okay. There you go. I don't know if you... Oh, really? Yeah. Is there a ferry that you take to get out there, I'm assuming?
Sitting alongside of it is what you take.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Or Patriot Point out here. There's the aircraft carrier.
Okay.
Get on there and go over.
Oh, on an aircraft carrier.
No, there's an aircraft carrier over there, but you can do another ferry that goes over from this side.
Gotcha. Okay, so there's two ferries.
Yep.
Gotcha. Very cool. Is it worth going over there, or is it pretty much the same as this here? Okay.
There you can see the cannons like in the brick areas, whatever, and there's like shells that are lodged in there from.
Oh wow.
From shots that were fired from over there. They're lodged into the brick.
That's wild.
Yeah.
You mind if I film while I'm talking to you?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool, very cool. My name's Anthony, by the way. What's your name?
Anthony.
Anthony. Oh, look at that. See, you travel, and that's why this is such a nice guy. His name's Anthony, too. It's the common name.
Yeah, so that's like in the wall there. That's the back of the shell that's lodged in from the fire. There's one there. There's a few of them. Yeah, there's.
What's the ferry cost? Like 20 bucks or something?
It's like, I don't know what it was, 32 or something like that.
That's okay.
And it's like a half-hour ferry ride out, and then they give you a thing. That right now, 11 o'clock is our first one, so they just got out there.
Gotcha.
And then they're probably up there doing they raise the flag on the first ferry, and then the last one takes it down. Cool. So you'll see the flag go up here pretty quick, I would think.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It's one of the first things that they do. So
we'll hang out and watch that then. Yeah, I had no idea that this fort was around during the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in Charleston that's pretty cool. If not from around here.
I'm not, no, yeah, I have family that moved here.
If you go to Charleston, there's a lot of revolutionary stuff there too.
Sure, yeah.
So, that was one of the original colonies or whatever that.
Correct, yes.
Formed here, so. Yeah, because that's what it originally looked like.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So yeah, the walls are all deteriorated down.
I mean, it makes sense. It's an island. It's harder just to siege and land troops on an island than with coast.
That island was not there. That was all built.
Oh, they built the whole island?
Yeah, they brought
that
out rocks, boats, and dumped it in and built the island. Yeah.
See, I don't even have to pay to take the tour now because you went yesterday. I'm learning all the stuff.
Yeah, it's a handmade island that they strategically
I didn't know that.
put there, halfway between here and there to
fill the gap in the harbor.
The cannons in the day didn't have very much range, so
that makes sense.
From here to the other side was too far of a shot, so they put one in between so they could have
that makes a lot of sense.
Defend the harbor completely.
Makes complete sense.
But now, you know, by the time the Civil War came, whatever, they had the rifle weapons, and they could actually shoot. They had like a 5-mile range, which, you know, it's like a mile and a half over to there or whatever.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, well, that was the interesting thing about, I had never put that together, but just reading a little clip about how this fort was abandoned after World War II. There's no need for forts when you can push a button and launch an intercontinental ballistic missile anywhere in the world.
Exactly.
Like, what's the point of having? It's just a convenient target at that point.
Well, and even in 1940 or whatever, they had battleships that could patrol through
20-mile range.
Yeah, yeah, with huge guns on them that were mobile, that they didn't have to stay right here. They could go out there and get them. You know.
Exactly. Wild.
Yeah. Just the evolution of defense, I guess.
Yeah, warfare. Very cool. This is the inside of the World War II edition of the fort. So this is kind of cool. I don't know if this was offices or... These were offices. So you've got your offices here. This is where they would communicate with radio in World War II, out on the lookout for German U-boats, which were a legitimate threat. Giant strategic map. This was for the station commander at the time. Very cool. The radio room. Very cool. And luckily during World War II, none of this was utilized. America was only invaded in Pearl Harbor. And you can see how the evolution of warfare happened. This was an airlock in case of a chemical attack in World War II. So warfare had gotten more complicated, right? So this would be the normal entrance for just getting in and out. And if there was a chemical attack outside, you would first come into this room. They would pump the air out of the room to clear out the gas, and then you would enter through this door. Crazy, crazy stuff. These are all locked. Interesting. Keep monsters back there, probably. That's how they kept warm, powered the place. Generator. And this would have been another entrance. Basically, it's basically a bunker. I have to imagine that during World War II, if you were lucky enough to get stationed in South Carolina, you were probably pretty happy compared to the poor folks who, you know, got sent over to the Pacific Islands or Europe. You know, this would have been a a Hallelujah station. This is where they kept the munitions for the guns. And there's the gun. It's Fort Sumter again. Not sure what that building is. I'll have to go check that out. Some people on top of the hill. This, another interesting tunnel. Again, I'm 4'9". Not a lot of space here. Here you go, this is how they kept the light. So you would leave your light here, and it would reflect off into here because this would be full of explosives. So you didn't want to bring a lantern in a room full of explosives. Not very smart. Wouldn't last very long. Look at that. Imagine being on a boat and getting hit with one of those. Look at that. That's a massive cannon. So each one of these numbers throughout the fort, and there's a ton of them. Some more over there, all the way around. Those were all cannons.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I think that one was just a little room or a little hallway.
Okay. So this was the main powder room where they kept all the gunpowder. And to help protect it from a direct shot, they built this wall. This is literally just a giant concrete brick slab. And the whole purpose of this brick slab is to protect the powder room. Guys, I've gotten lost. I can't get out of the fort. It's a labyrinth. I'm stuck here forever, apparently. way maybe? Stay tuned to see if I can get out of the fort. You totally can get in here free, by the way. So after walking through the whole fort, I realized if you skip the museum and just enter the fort directly, there's no one checking tickets. The $10 thing is more of a donation than an actual requirement. They got me. The American government, the Parks and Recreation Department, they fooled me. I do want to see if I can get down to this little beach area down here. Also, if you can hear me, I don't know, it's kind of windy. Something common on Sullivans Island of the houses is that. The houses are up on stilts to protect them against flooding. Which, if you remember from earlier, I told you there's a floodplains between Charleston downtown, the city, and the lowlands, like Sullivans Island. See if I can get down to this beach now. So one of the cool facts I learned is that when the federal troops, the Union, abandoned this fort and decided to go to Fort Sumter, the South came in and took control of this fort. So basically, the poor troops for the Union were stuck in between the Southern armies of the South. Fort Sumter, Charleston Harbor. It's the bridge I came over last night. Look at that, there's a dude out in the water. Is that a statue? What a beach. It's a little cold. Very pretty beach, but a tad cold. It makes me want to go south more, further south. Did you know Spider-Man was in the Revolutionary War? He fought on the side of the British. Butt cheeky bastard. Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man my ass. in the early turn of the century, the 1900s, there was a huge buildup of coastal defense in America. This is next to Fort Sumter and Moultrie. Still can't pronounce it. Basically, this was to protect Charleston Harbor from invasion, probably done because of the political tensions of the turn of the century with World War I and everything going on in Europe. Napoleon and earlier wars in Europe probably freaked out the Americans and wondered if there was the potential for that to happen. But again, after World War II, this entire system, defense system that the US bought and paid for, was gone, because you don't need cannon defense when you have intercontinental ballistic missiles. It's all locked. This is cool. This was the power room. Hopefully you can see that through the glass. It's a little dirty in there, but it makes sense, right? It was a more modern fort, so they had power requirements. Basically just storage now. Doesn't look like you can go up there. Oh, an open gate. You can imagine the troops in this fort that never had to utilize these weapons, you know, after centuries of Charleston forts being some of the most important military installations in the country for national defense. It all really just kind of died after the 1900s. There was no more war on American shores till the surprise attack of Pearl Harbor in World War II, but the mainland hasn't been under siege in quite some time. So long, Fort Moultrie. I finally looked up how to pronounce your name. General Moultrie. I'm sorry for mispronouncing it this entire video. So guys, I had to park on the side of the road back there to get a shot of this view. So you remember earlier, and I'll try to talk loud because this is actually the main bridge over to Sullivans Island. Remember how I said basically the floodplains, which is all that's all floodplains, helps protect the mainland against flood damage. And the fort is way down there. I don't know if you can see the little American flag. Fort, I forget the name. There. It's embarrassing on my part. But yeah, you can see here, basically this is all swampland. So in hurricane season and rainy season, this just is protection. This is where the water goes when it has nowhere else to go. And I mean, all these houses, these townhouses here that are very expensive, they're very pretty, but you can see on the bottom, they're all up on stilts to protect against flood damage, because this area just floods every time. I'm gonna go to the other side here once these cars go by. This is precarious. Try not to get hit by a car. Oh, there's no walkway here. And then on this side, so Sullivans Island is over there. You got the flood area here. And I am gonna get out of this spot because there's no walkway here. It's dangerous. Holy crap, that's scary. But yeah, so kind of a touristy area. A lot of people coming and going. But yeah, that's Sullivans Island and Fort Moultrie. And more to come. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. I went on the other side of Charleston to a place called Fort Johnson Road, thinking it'd be another fort. It's not. It's basically marine bases and a police barracks and this really cool old house that's dilapidated but still has private property signs all over it. Pretty cool. But the reason why I came over here was because I wanted to try and get a better shot of Fort Sumter, which is that island right there. We were over here about at the other fort. So I'm gonna go down here and see, do a little exploring. So let's see. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be here, but take the path less taken. Looks like somebody's chair is right there. I think that might be private property. But yeah, I think I'm good here. Like I said, I mostly wanted to show you Fort Sumter, which is straight out ahead. That little island there. You can see it a little bit better in person here than you could from the other side. And you can imagine during the Revolutionary War and the Civil War, basically that fort was built because the harbor was too wide. The weapons didn't have the technology to shoot all the way across. and protect the harbor. So they built Fort Sumter in the middle of the water out of rocks and dirt so that they could have a midway point to protect Charleston Harbor. Look at this old southern plantation house. What a crazy place to have lived at some point in time. Someone clearly still owns it. Such a shame. It's a gorgeous house. Look at this view. Imagine living in this house and having this view. It's unfortunate that this house is no longer lived in. What do you think? Would you live in this house? Fix it up? It's a stereotypical southern weeping willow tree. I think they're weeping willows. You tell me in the comments. Makes you want to put on some white clothes and say, I do declare. And basically fry some chicken and fan yourself under the hot South Carolina sun and be a southern gentleman. Look at this. This is like exactly what you think of when you think of South Carolina, right? Guys, check out this haircut I just got. Like, I walked in, dude was as southern as could be. Totally chill dude, man. Barbershop in Mount Pleasant. Just awesome dude. Probably in his 50s or 60s. Took out the straight razor, lined everything up. $20 for a haircut. Tipped him 10 bucks. So same price for a haircut back in Maryland, but the quality of this haircut is just like light years ahead of what I paid back in Maryland for the same haircut. Like, he threw some shaving cream on the back of my neck and hit it with a straight razor. Like, I'm gonna shave when I get back to the hotel, get some food, and I'm gonna be looking good, man. This is a nice haircut. I'm impressed for 20 bucks. So got the little a little fluff thing going on right here too. It's pretty wild. But all right, I gotta get some food. So yeah, talk to you all later. Bye.